Good morning, everybody. This is Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and welcome aboard, Hank. It's good to have you back. How's it down in South Florida? Is it sunny or is it raining down there?
No, it's sunny today, and I know some friends of yours from Las Vegas are in town for a conference, and we're having dinner tonight. And one of the friends was playing golf this morning at 8 o'clock, so the rain is held off. And our governor got in a lot of trouble because he declared a state of emergency, and it turned out to be a false alarm, and he had no information to indicate that there should be a state of emergency. All we had was heavy rain showers last week. It was not, there were no heavy winds. It's not a real tropical storm here, and we should be used to heavy winds at this time, or heavy rain at this time of year. But that's our governor. He's trying to get attention for himself because he's running for the Senate, and he'll probably win too. Total publicity hound, but he can afford to pay a fine because he's a very wealthy guy.
Most of our politicians are very wealthy people.
But our state is way behind in the gambling business, and the tribes here have the inside track on everything, and the people upstate don't want to see it, and we'll be probably the last state in the union to okay it.
I remember it was on the referendum back in the 60s and 70s, and they wouldn't pass it upstate. Downstate wanted it, and upstate did not.
I'll tell you a great story about that. The man who was the chairman of the Miami Herald was the guy who spearheaded the move to prevent gambling from spreading in the state, and he was a war hero. But there were a lot of people in town who felt that he was against the hotels in Miami Beach, and that it was an anti-Semite situation. And we were talking last week about him, and he was a great businessman, and the Herald was a great newspaper, except that it always took the position against gambling, because that was his position. And one of the people who was head of the Democratic Party was telling us at dinner that he went to his office one time and didn't realize it, but the man had flown 50 missions in World War II.
Wow.
And he got all kinds of medals, but he never has spoken about it. He would not talk about the 50 missions. And one of the guys at the table said, which side was he flying for?
Oh.
Very funny.
Oh, wow.
Very funny line.
Wow. Wow. That's pretty
But the
amazing.
pro-gambling people did not like him very much. And the pro-hotel people did not like him very much for his position on gambling. But he and a big real estate guy in town really spearheaded the move in Dade County and statewide, and along with the people upstate, to make sure that we didn't get gambling here.
And they've always
Looks
been...
like Delaware's jumping on board. They're going to have it pretty soon.
Tuesday. They're going to open up. They're going to take bets on Tuesday, June 5th.
Yeah.
They'll be the first state to do it, other than Nevada, of course. But they've been,
New Jersey.
Well, New Jersey is, well, true, yes. Pretty exciting stuff. Now, I have a lot of opinions. I watched the game last night. I had a lot of action myself on the game. I had the first quarter of the first half. And I did not bet the second half because the way the first half turned out, after blowing the 11-point lead, Cleveland ended up tied at the half, so I didn't bet the second half. But I did have the total. Once they announced that Love was going to play, I did put that up. And so I did well financially. I was actually mad, though, that Cleveland didn't beat them, straight up. Not because I'm a fan or anything, but to me, the Warriors have become very, first, especially Draymond Green. They're classless in some ways, and I just don't like the way they're acting. And, maybe 4 years at the top, they're full of themselves. Maybe that's why they're not focused like they used to be. It never used to be.
Well, you're forgetting that Draymond Green was suspended 2 years ago. He's always misbehaved, and this is nothing new for him. So he's he's always a big concern going into these playoffs because they're worried that he's going to get himself suspended, and that's always a big if with him. So he's a certified jerk on the court, and but what he does is he's a good tool for them because he gets the other guys to lose it, and it becomes kind of it becomes kind of a weapon for them in that regard.
There's some truth to that. There's no question.
You know something? They may lose a guy because of the way he reacted to Draymond Green last night. He got thrown out of the game. Draymond didn't.
Yeah, that baffles me. What did you think of the play at the end of the game when JR didn't know what the score was?
I think he has become the Bill Buckner of his sport. They're killing him today, and
oh yeah,
it was ridiculous. First of all, there's one guy today who's trying to create a story, Levitard as usual, who's saying that he was going to go down to he was almost going to take the ball and go to the other basket if he wasn't stopped by LeBron. That's nonsense. He just thought that they were ahead. And you know what? The announcer for ESPN, who was doing the play-by-play, said at the end of the broadcast, or at the end of the play-by-play, he said, "And Cleveland has won the game." He was even thrown off. How could that be? But he lost track of the score. He lost the game in two ways. He missed the second free throw, which probably would have iced the game for them, and he just lost track of the score for some unknown reason and didn't call timeout when they wanted him to. He was dribbling. He was clearly, trying to dribble out the last 4 seconds of the game, thinking that they had it won. It was one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen in the history of the game, and it will always be remembered. He will always be remembered for that. He's right there with the guy from Michigan years ago in college basketball, with Buckner. This will be always remembered for the game they could have had that got away.
Yeah, he will. And,
the bad call was controversial. There's a lot of disagreement as to whether that was a blocking foul or not. And I just don't like the way they review things like that. Some people are saying now that, that he turned his shoulder, LeBron turned his shoulder, and that's why they got the call that went against him. And that's why they reversed the call.
Very subjective and very controversial. And I don't know the answer to it. It was. I thought it was a poorly officiated game, but it was compelling. There was a lot of drama. The Warriors are the Warriors. It's time for somebody to get good enough to knock them off.
Curry was not stoppable last night. He had a tremendous game, and he brought them back at the end of the half, and he really carried them through the first half and kept them in the game. And his people aren't talking a lot about it, but he had a tremendous defensive game as well, and that made a big difference.
Well, that team is just loaded with super talent. They're very.
But they don't rebound. They were out rebounded by a huge number, and that was the difference in the game. That was the because in the second half, I don't believe that they're going to be able to, that the Cleveland's going to be able to shoot as well as they did last night, in Game 2. Their outside shooting early was tremendous, and of course LeBron was incredible. But in the second half, they didn't shoot very well. The other guys didn't shoot well at all.
No, LeBron he's on another planet. I don't know. There's not much you can say about him anymore. It's just how the hell he can play as well as he does. He's better now than he ever has been, and in his 30s, for God's sake. He seems to get better. I mean, he's supposed to be deteriorating when you get older, but not him. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Baseball's humming along. That's been good. We got the hockey game coming up. I believe it's tomorrow, is it not?
Yeah, they got an extra day. So, baseball. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Kershaw pitched last night, and I thought that he gave him 5 strong innings. But I guess he's being examined again today.
Really?
He might have re-injured himself. So he's getting an MRI, and hopefully he came through. But he finished strong. He struck out the side in the 5th inning, and then he had to retire because he had made his pitch count, and that would have been huge for the Dodgers. But there are 2 teams that I wanted to address. Since I pointed it out, by the way, Cleveland had another over last night. That's money in the bank for 2 reasons. One, they give you their share of runs, and 2, their bullpen is not holding up all that well. So they had 8 runs in 4 innings last night, and just sailed through the rest of their game, run-wise anyway. So just keep betting those Cleveland overs, and you're going to make money until it stops. And I don't see it stopping anytime soon. They got a bunch of hitters in their lineup. Secondly, St. Louis has been on a good run. And, last night was a terrific win for them because they were ahead in the game, and they gave up, I think it was four runs in the 8th inning and fell behind in the game. They were trailing going into the bottom of the 9th, and they scored some ungodly number of runs, finishing with a home run, and they wound up winning the game 10-8 against Pittsburgh. And St. Louis is on a pretty good run right now. They're getting a pretty good hitting. Their starting pitching has been okay. Their bullpen hasn't been great, but they're on a pretty good streak right now. So those are two items I would point out to you.
Well, you got Cleveland playing in Minnesota today, and the total in that game, that's Caracas. I'm not saying it right. I'm not going to try to say it, but anyway, the total...
You don't have to say that. All you have to say is over.
Okay. Very good. And St. Louis, they got a pretty hot pitcher going for them today, Mikolas, and they're 128 favorite over Pittsburgh today. Yeah, that's a pretty good game right there.
They're on a pretty good run right now.
Yeah, they are. And these things turn around, and you got to grab them. You got a rookie pitcher going for San Diego today named Lockett. I don't know much about him except in the minors. He did not have a very good record. I do know that. Why they're bringing him up at this point with the kind of minor league record he has, I'm not sure. I guess they just need somebody to throw the ball. But and then you go to the basketball, which is going to be back on the map for Sunday, and that's Golden State is open 12.5, it's down to 12. So the way the game was played, I mean, Cleveland was in the game the whole time. Whether that can repeat, LeBron, I don't know what you say about the guy. 51 points, almost half the points the team scores.
Aside from LeBron, who was deadly from everywhere, so many of Cleveland's points came on follow-up shots around the basket, and that's what kept them in the game. And you just see Golden State standing around underneath, and I'll tell you who's a detriment to them is their lack of they don't have any depth. And they got one guy who's, he had a couple of baskets and then he stopped. He just came to a total stop and he did nothing. Defensively, around the rim, he was terrible. The 5th man they had starting. And, the big man, he's awful.
Well, they do lose something. Well, first of all, they pay so much money to the top guys that they have. Their bench is not going to be all that good. You can only pay so much. But without Iguodala, they do lose something. I mean, he's effective on defense, and he's very effective on offense in facilitating the other players. And they have not looked as good as they should look without him on the floor. Whether he's going to ever come back or not this year, I don't know. But Love.
Durant doesn't have much under the boards either. They just out rebound him constantly. So.
No, he's great at what he does, but there's other areas of his game that are not. But Love came back last night, played effectively. He added quite a bit to the game for Cleveland, but. It's difficult. You have these double-digit favorites with a team that just is not playing 4 quarters of basketball every night. And last night they got away with it. They were down 11 and closed the gap and tied it at half. And that was a little bit unusual because lately, they've been losing the first half by a lot and then winning the third quarter. Last night did not happen that way. And they just... There seem to be, I hate to say it this way, but they seem to read their press clippings a lot. They've been around for 4 years. They've been dominant for 4 years. And maybe that goes to your head a little bit. But they definitely do not come out of the locker room ready to play until the second half. And but yesterday was a little bit different.
Something. I think that's something that afflicts a lot of teams that stay on top. You can say it about the Patriots in football. You can say it about the Yankees years ago in baseball when they had all those great teams, and they were. And when Billy Martin was managing the team, and they had Reggie Jackson, nobody offended anti-Yankee fans more than Reggie did, and all he did was come through when it counted. I think that goes with winning.
Yeah, it's called the big head syndrome.
Well,
big bank.
It's called success.
Big head.
You know what? It's true in business.
Oh,
Look at the man who's in charge of the country right now.
Oh, yeah. We could get in. That's a whole different subject. But we could start the Hank and Jim political show. We have a separate channel for that. But. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I hope we get 7 games. I love basketball, and
I hope we get 6.
Oh, that's because you bet it in 6. I did not do that. But anyway, Hank, you got horses this weekend. I take it.
Next week, of course, is the Belmont. They've announced 10 horses for the Belmont. There were a couple of Euros who they were hoping would come over, but that's not going to happen. And Baffert entered a second horse, which is interesting to me because they're out of the same outfit that owns Justified. That raises a red flag. We'll see. The draw is Tuesday afternoon at 5:30. They're having the draw at Citi Field. I don't get that at all. Just inconvenienced the media a little bit more. Last year, of course, they had the draw at a restaurant, at a steakhouse in New York. So everybody had to leave the racetrack and come into Manhattan. This is just as bad because it's Citi Field at 5:30. It's going to be a great inconvenience to everybody, but they're working a deal with the Mets for some real estate situation on the Belmont-owned property, and so this is like a payback to the Mets. Everything's about money with NYRA. If they can figure a way to mess up things for the horse player and for the press covering the games, they will do it. They're doing it again.
Wow. Well, everything's about money and power. That's the way the world works these days. But Hank, your plays, my plays are at jimfeist.com. Hope we have a great weekend. We've been doing good. Let's keep it going. We got the hockey, which goes to Washington for the next game. And that was quite a save the other night by the goalie.
Oh, he was great. He really had a heck of a game because he had a number of saves in that third period. You know, they came into the third period with the score of 3-2, and nobody scored. And that was unusual. Of course, Washington lost one of their big three. We'll have to check on his condition. He needs the extra day off, so that's going to be in their favor if he can come back and play.
Right. Well, I lost that bet. I had the over 5.5, and I thought I was in pretty good shape, but when it was 3-2 going into the third period, but it never happened. But that's the way sports is. But anyway, Hank, we'll talk to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, and thanks for your time, and thank you everybody out there for listening.
You too, Jim. Thank you.
All right.